Well, there is a brand new Aussie horror out that has been getting a lot of attention overseas. It is called Sting, and it is the new film from writer-director Kia Roach-Turner, who, of course, was a guest on this show just a few weeks ago talking all about it. But if you missed that interview, Kia, of course, is well known here in Australia for making genre films. Most famous of all, his Wormwood franchise that gained him attention overseas, and that's exactly what happened with this new film, Sting. It got released in the United States, and it rocketed into the top 5 charts over there at the box office. Now it's out here in Australia and getting attention here as well, and this is not one if you're an arachnophobe, I have to say. If you're frightened of spiders, this is not the film for you. It centers around a young girl called Charlotte, played by Alia Brown, who lives in an apartment building in Brooklyn with her father, Ethan, played by Ryan Kaur, and her mother, played by Penelope Mitchell. Now, there's a bit of a strain on their relationship at the moment because of the birth of a brand new baby, and it's not actually mentioned in the film, but you get the feeling that this is set during the COVID times because nobody seems to really come and go from the apartment building apart from a pest exterminator. Now, the family also live with their grandparents, Gunther, played by Robin Nevin, and also Helga, played by Noni Hazelhurst. Gunther is not a nice person. She particularly doesn't seem to like Ethan and treats him quite badly. While Helga, as I said, played by Noni Hazelhurst, is suffering from either dementia or Alzheimer's. So there's a bit of a stranger relationship there as well for Charlotte with her grandmother. But things all change when a space rock goes through a window in the building and carries with it a spider, which Charlotte then adopts, but that has absolutely horrifying ramifications. Lee, you are someone who doesn't particularly like spiders. What did you think of Sting?
Look, I think that I wasn't so much scared of the spider per se. I didn't have that feeling of I can't watch this because I'm not a huge spider fan. But I have to say, when I saw the previews to this movie, it actually wasn't one that I thought I wanted to see. Of course, I went in there with an open mind to review, but I think if I wasn't reviewing, I might not have chosen to see the movie. I actually think the preview didn't show the family side so much of the movie, and so I think what made this movie a lot better than I was expecting was that there was actually a strong storyline of what it was like for a young girl to live in a separated family, to not have her biological dad around, to be adjusting to another man that's come into her life, and who she sees as a dad, but there's a complexity of always having the biological dad in the background. And then, those times of seeing a new baby comes into the mix, and then a young girl having to take on some responsibilities of watching him while mum and dad work or things like that. So I thought that storyline was a really good one, mixed in with this story of this girl called Charlotte. Now, I wondered, Charlotte Spider, Charlotte's Web, if there was any reference there, if the writer was just referencing that in some way. But yeah, I really thought that it was great to have that family dynamic mixed in with this girl who's looking for, I guess, friendship, and she finds it in the spider at the start of the movie. And most people who are going through things in their life turn to pets and animals because they're a safe space. Their animals are trustworthy, and they're fascinating and intriguing, and this young girl Charlotte is watching this spider grow, finding it intriguing how it eats, seeing that it's growing, and then of course as the story moves on there's a lot more to it turning into a horror film. Now there are some moments where it's like, oh gross, I don't want to look at that, when the spider might eat someone or something.
Well, the one that everyone's having problems with in the trailer is the spider going into the lady's mouth.
Yes.
That's apparently caused a couple of faints and people throwing up with just watching the trailer.
So that one is a good example of a moment where you want to look away, because I think at that stage in the movie, the spider's big but it's not huge, and you could imagine that could happen to you in real life. I think that's one of those moments, if you don't like spiders, you're like, oh my gosh, like if I was camping, or if I was asleep and my mouth was open, a spider could go in my mouth, and we know that can be the case in real life. I'm sure there are many doctors' reports of something like that happening. So I think they're the moments where you're like, oh, I can't look at that, because that does feel like it could be real. But then there were other moments in the film where when the spider gets to such a size that is not possible in real life, that's where I think people who are scared of spiders aren't going to be so scared, because that bit doesn't feel so real. But you are drawn into the movie. You still are enjoying the suspense of the movie. Are people going to live? Are people going to die? There's a couple of pets that may or may not make it. And there might be moments where you want to look away from the screen then too. But I have to say, this movie was a lot better than what the shorts kind of showed me, what the preview showed me. And I found the character of Noni Hazelhurst, Helga, really interesting. This beautiful older lady who, is a grandmother to Charlotte. And you can see Charlotte's love and care for her grandmother. But you can also see how an illness such as Alzheimer's can really affect a family as well.
It also brings in an interesting element too, because Helga sees the spider and sees the horrific things that it does, but then forgets about it. So it's like every day for her, she's discovering this horror that's living in the apartment building. And it also gives a great get out card to Kia Roach Turner in the screenplay, because he can actually have her witness these horrific events and then not tell anybody, because she forgets about it a few moments after she's witnessed it. So that actually adds a pretty good side story into this as well. But I've got to pay credit here to Weta Workshop, who created the spider, because it looks believable, even from like when it's a little spider right through to being the giant spider that's attacking people. It looks believable all the way through. The other thing I love that's been put into this film as well is a struggle that a lot of artists go through these days, where companies expect them to basically work for free and only get paid at the end of it. And that's putting a financial strain on this family, with the father being hired to work on a comic book, but he's not getting paid for it until it's printed and done. So he technically is working double each day, 8 hours on his comic, and then 8 hours doing maintenance work around the building, which is putting a strain on his family life as well. So there's some great little subtle things in here, apart from just a giant spider killing people, which I think actually separates this from a lot of horror movies that are out there, because it does touch on other things as well. Once again, I think we're really starting to realize here that Alia Brown is going to be an absolute star. For people that watch programs on streaming platforms, she's been brilliant in The Lost Flowers of Alice Hart and also Nine Perfect Strangers. She also played the young Jessica in True Spirit and the young Furiosa in Furiosa and Mad Max Saga, and now she's basically in every scene of this film, so I think she is legitimately going to be one of the next big stars out of Australia. People are already saying she's the next Margot Robbie, so I guess we'll have to see where she goes with that. But look, this is her movie. She carries this film, and yeah, she's got more experienced actors around her like Ryan Corr and Noni Hazelhurst, but she holds her own. So, Lee, what are you going to give Sting out of 5 and why?
I'm going to give Sting 3 out of 5. As I said, I liked the storyline a lot more than I was expecting, so that was a good surprise. And I really love the family storylines within the bigger story. And I thought that, as you said, the Weta Workshop Spider was quite amazing. A lot of effort's been put into this, and I've really enjoyed watching the cast members. And as you said, I think this young girl is going to go places, a lot of places.
Yeah, I'm going to give this one 3 out of 5 as well. If you do like genre cinema, go and check out Sting. It kind of got released in Australia with not much fanfare apart from the trailer, so definitely go and check out Sting. It does have a limited release, so make sure you check your local cinema guide to see if it's showing near you, but go and check out Sting, which Lee and I both gave 3 out of 5 to.